Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I'm on the forum tonight, which is nice. We're going to be talking about Erik ten Hag's big decision, also quite a few other things, but good to be on. Welcome to the show, Charlie, Ricky and Adam. Hope you're doing well, lads.
All right. Good, thank you.
All good.
Good. So we'll start off. It's been an interesting week for Manchester United. Good results. I don't know what they're on. Good result for against Spurs, and then Chelsea. We'll see what the lads think about that. But ultimately, we didn't lose, which was the main thing after a late penalty. But the big story of the week is obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, and I want to spend the first few minutes of the show talking about that. I also want to delve into the Varane injury. He's out for 3 weeks now, which means he's out till the World Cup. Probably will go to the World Cup with France, but what does that mean for Manchester United's momentum and the striking situation? I think is an interesting one, and I'm sure we'll get into a few other bits as well. But latest news sort of coming out about Ronaldo. It was in the Mirror today, which is seems to be quite close to Ten Hag. They're basically saying that Erik ten Hag is demanding a full and sincere apology from Cristiano Ronaldo. We had the Instagram post where many of you in the chat felt that it wasn't a sincere apology. Apparently, Erik ten Hag really is going to hammer home that he wants this sincere apology if he's going to let Ronaldo back into the fray, so to speak. Ricky, we'll start with you. We didn't really get your thoughts on the match last night. Where are you on the Ronaldo situation now? Obviously, Martial's very injury prone. I know you're a big fan of his. Marcus Rashford, is he a striker? Is he capable of doing that job? And then Cristiano Ronaldo obviously walked off and, sort of undermined the manager. So what is it, the end of the end for Ronaldo, or do you think there's a way back? And what are your thoughts on the situation and how it should be handled now he's missed the game?
What he did definitely needed reprimanding, and I wasn't surprised that he was left out of a squad. But it's sort of he's got the upper hand in a way, in my opinion, because we're so poor, we're so lightweight up top. Martial's injured. I think it was pretty clear that he was his number one choice, and it's just never fit. And you know how much I love him, but yeah, even my patience is wearing thin. It's just never fit. Rashford, he's not just up, he's more down than up. I mean, he had a decent game against Spurs, but then Chelsea, he's just back to square one. I thought he was absolutely horrific against Chelsea, giving the ball away so cheaply so often. And Chalobah, I don't think Chalobah's all that, and he was just knocking him off the ball too easily, too lightweight. So we're desperate. We need a striker. So we just need him in the squad. They'll have to buy one come January. They will have to buy one, unless one of the kids is good enough who's coming through. There's supposed to be a few decent lads coming through the rank. When are they going to try them? And one other thing that I said today, I said this when Elanga was playing on the left. I'd try him at number 9. I really would. The way Rashford played at Chelsea, I can't see Elanga. I just can't see him being worse. I mean, his electric pace. His pace when he burst between two players yesterday and then got chopped down, was it by Jorginho, and he got bucked. Then his pace when he burst into the box from the left. And we've already got 2 players who can, with Rashford and Martial, who can play or think they can play through the centre and can also play down the left. I don't see why Elanga couldn't be another similar one like that. We've seen him score headers before. He scored a cracking header at Wolves last season or the season before. He scored an header at Brentford where he had to collide with the keeper and he got above the keeper. So he can head it. He can win headers and score headers, and he's rapid. Maybe against Sheriff, play 2 other players wide and give him a chance at number 9, unless you're going to bring Ronaldo back into the fold, of course. But at some stage, we need somebody else, whether we sign one or whether it's Elanga gets a chance there or whether it's a youth player. But certainly at the minute, I would suggest we definitely need Ronaldo back in the squad.
Go to you, Adam. You've obviously been at the game. You're at the game on Wednesday night. Ricky makes some good points there. I do want to talk about the striking options in a bit more depth in a little bit. But on the Ronaldo situation, is there a way back, and should there be a way back? And Ricky hits on a good point. Roy Keane said it as well. Rashford probably should have had 7 goals in the last 4 games, and he's got 0.
Yeah, well, for me, I've always said it. I mean,
Me and Charlie did a special show on this, and I said it straight out. Rashford, he's not Manchester United's number 9 going forward. He's sort of been put into that situation because of like what Ricky said then, the injuries to Martial, what's happened to Ronaldo. But he isn't a striker. He's better from the left. He's our leading goal scorer this season. And you talk about all the chances he's had through the centre forward position. Every single goal he's scored this season is coming in off the left. It clearly shows Rashford is better off the left. He hasn't got the physical attributes like Ricky said. He's easy to bounce off. He is getting better at doing little things, but the higher quality centre backs will eat him alive. He's just not got that number 9 capability for me. And I totally agree. We desperately need a striker. Ronaldo, there is a way back. There's always a way back. He's a professional, and everything he did was wrong. That for me was as good as an apology you're going to get publicly from one of the biggest superstars in the world, not just in football, but all over the world. He's an icon. I think that was basically an apology from him. I don't care if he comes out and does it in public. All I care about is if he does it with his teammates and Ten Hag. I really don't give a toss what Ronaldo says to the fans. His proof is in the pudding, and he's talking with his feet for me. So there is always a way back, and Ten Hag will deal with that like he's dealt with everything so far in this situation. And I do think that he has dealt with it perfectly. I've got no criticism whatsoever for Ten Hag and how he's dealt with this Ronaldo situation. He made it clear. He answered the questions at the press conference, and he's punished Ronaldo for his second misdemeanor. This isn't something for him walking off. This is something from the Vallecano game that he's already been warned about. And therefore, like Ten Hag said, it's the culture. Ronaldo's put a tweet out back in the team before the Chelsea game. So that's another public sort of message from Ronaldo. But ultimately, you look at it, and as long as the players are all right, and as long as Ten Hag is all right, Ronaldo can still be at this football club. We've got 3 games left before the World Cup. I do think he needs to go in January, though, but only if the right move is there for him and we can bring another player in. Because honestly, what Ricky said there, with the youth players have been following the under-21s all season. We've been and covered quite a lot of the games for the United stand. There's no one ready. There's no one ready at centre-forward position. We've got some quality players, but mainly in the wide area and the midfield area. No one up front that can do that number 9 role. Money's going to have to be invested or a loan of some sorts. It's just who and what is out there. But it is the one area of the pitch where we are lacking. It's like what Roy Keane said when he said Leicester have scored more goals than us. They got another 4 today. I think we're about 14th in the league for goals scored this season. There is a problem there in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net. And I would look at Ronaldo as being the answer to that. It's clear it's there, and there is a way around it.
Yeah, I think in relation to Ronaldo, well, look, I'll get your thoughts, Charlie. You've been waiting patiently. You played the game. I played the game. If you've played the game that as a manager, you're not. I think I agree with Adam. Ten Hag's dealt with it perfectly well. But when the trust is gone, and let's be honest, and I respect this from Ronaldo, he is a go to the game, as Adam said, and he is not going to apologise sincerely when he thinks he should be in that team. And he's not going to apologise like he's an 18-year-old starting out. He thinks he should be in the team. He probably thinks, he's better than Ten Hag because, let's be honest, he's going to go down as one of the greatest players ever. Is there really a way back? Is there a way back for this? And do you think Ten Hag wants there to be a way back? Or do you think it's like you can have cameos here and there, but you're definitely gone in January?
I think there is a way back. It's just kind of what that, as you say, way back actually does kind of lead to, whether it is, and I agree with everything that everyone said in the sense that, and it's if buts and maybes, but all these chances that fall to Rashford, Ronaldo 9 times out of 10 would score all of them, and it seems that Rashford kind of only has one type of shot, and it's just levering it straight down the keeper's throat rather than kind of anything else. But no, I mean, when there's a lack of trust, and it is just such a different situation to be in with Ronaldo. If this is anyone else, if this is any other member of the squad, then it's obviously has a very different outlook on it. The whole media would be very different. All the fan base wouldn't be, this complete toxic, divided kind of thing. And it's just when our squad's in the current situation it's in terms of the lack of strength and depth, and as I say, it's Cristiano Ronaldo at the end of the day. There's got to be a way back, and Martial's injured. How long is he going to be able to stay fit when he is back fit? And Rashford's not firing. It does just point in Ronaldo's favour that little bit more in terms of when he. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see obviously what happens midweek if he does come straight back in, and as Adam said, the apology again. Like, I don't, whether people think the apology that you put out is sincere enough. Like, I don't. It doesn't really matter to us in that sense. He just needs to, if he wants the sincere apology, then it needs to be to his squad mates, right? It needs to be to the people he's playing with, that, you know, he still has their respect, etc. But I think there is a way back, 100%.
Let's move on to the actual forward position. I spoke about this morning and how Roy Keane spoke a lot of, to coin a phrase, nonsense last night. But one thing I did agree with was that he basically said that we're not scoring. You know, the team might be playing well, but the front three aren't playing well. And maybe we'll get into Sancho a little bit later. But in relation to the striking position, I mean, you know, you've got Graham Potter in that game who has to make a substitute after 35 minutes. I think that really says how panicked he was. And yet it was 0-0, and yet they ended up scoring first. And I think I've often said about Kyle Walker that he reminds me of a player that if you took the pace away from him, I think he'd be playing for Leyton Orient. And I think I like Rashford off the left, which is what Adam has said, but I do feel that Rashford gets chances because he's quick. And I think with Rashford, it is a bit like that. If you took his pace away, he's not very physical. He's not very good at moving in the box, and his finishing is, I mean, basically it's a power shot. So, Ricky, what are your thoughts on? Is that an issue for us? I know we've mentioned Ronaldo, you mentioned Martial, you mentioned buying a striker in January.
We have.
Do you feel that?
Issues. Sorry.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, we have obviously got issues at number 9. I was looking at this today. We're tending to score more goals against the big teams, and I don't know how that's happening. It might just be a coincidence. You could argue that the other teams sit back against us, like we scored. I know City had made subs and sort of fought off the gas, but we got 3 against City, we got 3 against Arsenal, we got 2 against Liverpool, 1 against Chelsea, 2 against Spurs. And then when you look at the smaller teams, we got 1 against Southampton, we got 1 against Leicester, we got 2 against Everton. I know Newcastle are now in the top 4, but you wouldn't normally say they're one of the big teams. Didn't score against Newcastle. If you look at those 4 games, we've averaged 1 goal a game against the smaller clubs, and we're averaging over 2 a game against the bigger clubs. We need to get more goals against the lesser teams who sit back. And the first thing we need to do, in my opinion, is, and I'm like a struck record, because I've said it on this show, I've probably said it 8 times or something. We need to get the left-footed winger on the left wing and the right-footed winger on the right wing. We need to try and get round the back instead of cutting in. We're cutting in from the corner of the box all the time. You're running into a crowd. We need the players to try and get round the back, whether they're running onto passes or whether they're dribbling past them. If you're dribbling past your full-back to cross it, you can often get in a situation where you've got 1 man to beat. When you're running in from the corner of the box into the box, you've got 3 or 4 men in front of you that you're trying to get through. And it's what's happening all the time. And if only I could, if only Erik ten Hag, I could speak to him for a minute. What I would say to him, I would say, what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? We're scoring 1 a game against these type of teams, and these are the type of the teams we're now playing against. We've got 3 games before the World Cup. We've got not Notts Forest. We've got Villa, West Ham. You know, good side, West Ham, but they're not one of the big clubs or biggest. Who've we got? We've got 3 games. Fulham. I'd plead with him just to try it. And since we're scoring 1 goal a game against these types of clubs, I guarantee you we will still score at least 1. And let's just see if it is better and we score some more. Let's swap the wingers about, whoever we've got at number 9.
It's interesting, actually, because I was going to bring this up later, but I'm going to talk about the centre-back position because I'm really concerned how we're going to... I think the team's going to completely change in the way that it plays without Varane, because I don't think you can do what we've been doing in the last few games with Maguire or Lindelof. But let's stick with the attackers there and go back to you, Adam. And Ricky's saying there that he'd like to see those wingers switched. I heard somebody say yesterday it's not Sancho's fault. He's been moved from his natural position to the left. I presume nobody ever watched Sancho at Dortmund because he played off the left quite a lot. But interestingly, I think against Spurs, I thought Sancho was bang average in a team full of very good performances. And I thought yesterday, Fred Fred for Sancho was obviously it wasn't a straight swap, but it was the right swap. Is it a bit of a problem for United that actually, the Ronaldo situation we've spoken about, Martial's injured and Antony's a new player, Sancho's still struggling to settle and Rashford's out of position. We don't really have any other options. On Sancho specifically, what is that now? It's not year one, it's year two. And he's just not clicking. You're at the games. Is it the same there? We see it on the TV, but you don't always see what's going off the camera.
Yeah, mate. To be honest, everyone was very disappointed. I'll say it like that. That wasn't the words that we used at Stamford Bridge by the crowd. But in terms of Sancho, it was get your ass off the pitch, you lazy, so and so, useless, whatever. A bit harsh, to be honest. I do feel like he's just going through a bad run of form, personally, Sancho. I agreed with Ricky before in terms of Sancho was better on the right. I prefer him on the right, but this is how Ten Hag is going to play. He's going to persist with it. Going back to what Ricky said in terms of the goals scored, let's not forget in our last two games, the opposition's goalkeeper has been man of the match. So it's not like we're not creating chances. We are making the keepers work. I think what happened with Ten Hag early doors in terms of especially the Southampton and Leicester games, it's sort of after the Brentford game, and remember Sir Alex Ferguson used to do this all the time, when we got smashed by City at Old Trafford, that horrible day, 6-1, we went through a run of games, about 5 games, where we just won the game. Got a 1-0, a 1-0. Let's just keep the points going. I think Ten Hag just built from the back. He couldn't play exactly how he wanted to play, so we just went back to basics and we just kept ourselves relevant. I do believe we are 4 players short of how Ten Hag wants to play, but I do think that the inverted wingers only work with the right forward man in the middle as well. And this is where he's been struggling because he's not had that focal point. He worked with Martial and we created lots of chances and the inverted wingers actually work well in that on the tour as well. But it all comes back to the first question that we started the show with, Mark, when he was saying we're struggling for that focal point, that number 9. It's key to how Ten Hag plays. And it was interesting how he always had Haller there for Ajax, and now that worked better for him as the link. He had someone to hold it up and then bring players into play. Rashford can't do that from the centre. He hasn't got that about him. And we haven't got that player at the club. And we're trying to figure a way around it. I can see Ricky's side of it. I can understand why Ten Hag is persisting with it, because this is how he's going to go when he does get that number 9, and the players will be ready for it, I think, more when it comes to it. But I do believe that there's going to be one team that gets absolutely smashed by us sooner or later, because we are creating the chances. We are the better team in most of the games we are playing now. We've got more possession. We've got more attempts on goal, whether it's home or away, and we are playing better as a unit. It is all going to come down to that forward line. Sancho just is out of form. He just needs to take I think he just needs a bit of time. I'd bring Elanga in now for a bit. I'd put Sancho on the bench and I'd play Elanga. If we haven't got a striker and he is persisting with Rashford, I think Elanga has to replace Sancho. We just need something different. I think Elanga out of the limelight. Sancho out of the limelight right now will work for him. I'm not too concerned with Sancho yet in terms of his quality and if he's good enough. I know he's good enough, but it's only so long that you can go on with this bad form before you turn into one of them players like we've seen with many United players before, like Maguire didn't start off too bad. Wan-Bissaka didn't start off too bad. And then they start to fizzle out and then they start to drop off completely. And it's happened to quite a lot of players at this football club. That's when you start to worry. But I think Sancho, I think he will pick up. I do have confidence that he will pick up. If it goes into the last stages of this season, though, then I'll start to worry about him a little bit more, because then I start to worry about what I just described. Then as the player's dropping off completely. Not overly concerned yet. It is a worry, but I think he's still got the quality there to adapt.
Adam,
yeah.
Do you just quickly, do you think if Martial was obviously to be fit, do you think that Sancho wouldn't have seen as much game time as he obviously is, meaning that Rashford would then automatically, let's say, go out on the left? Do you think that Sancho would have been, on the sidelines a little bit more?
Yeah, 100%. Martial is 100% number 9 for Ten Hag, and he will play that role when he comes in. I don't think Ten Hag wants to play Martial on either wing. I think he wants him as his number 9. Antony is going to play. I think he's getting better and better. and Rashford is his choice on the left-hand side. He's talked a lot about Rashford and backs Rashford massively. It's funnily enough, he's not mentioned a lot about Sancho. He has talked about him, but not in the glowing light he has Marcus Rashford for some reason. I don't know why. I do believe that when everyone's fit, Sancho is on the bench. Honestly, mate, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting. I think with Sancho, look, I think Adam said it at the start, you know, the fans at the ground were saying to sub him off. I look back to the Ammonia game where it was his bad pass to Malacia and then the whole team sprints past him. And I think, you know, that's something you can't not notice. And I just think his effort levels are not the level that they need to be, which is really surprising. I think he did get dropped for the Everton game. I think it was the Everton game. And he ended up coming back into the team because of the Ronaldo problem, because Martial's fit and we've only got 5 forwards. I think he needs to spend some time on the bench. You look at what it's done for Luke Shaw. You look at what it's done for Casemiro. Eriksen didn't start on Wednesday, came into the team. I think he needs to spend some time on the bench. And whether that's for Elanga or Martial coming back and Rashford going to his natural position, I think Sancho needs a bit of a kick up the backside because I don't think it was long enough last time. Charlie, I'm going to give you a different topic. We saw Varane yesterday. I mean, the context to this is I think that with Varane and Martinez, we've basically hardly conceded any goals. Even the Man City game, Varane was injured for the second goal and then he went off. So you could technically say we've only conceded 1 goal in that game when Varane was fit. I think we still would have conceded more the way we were playing. But Varane and Martinez, the last 2 games, I've seen them basically say to the fullbacks, go forward. They've left themselves 2v2, Kane and Son and Aubameyang and Sterling. You would never see Lindelof and Maguire do that. They'd want to be surrounded by a back 6. That allows you fullbacks to push on. It allows you midfield to push on. It allows you to suffocate Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and Spurs at Old Trafford. We're now going to have to be in a position where Varane is not going to play. Minimum 3 weeks. Might be back for the World Cup, but he won't play for Man United again until Boxing Day. Perfect timing for Maguire, who's back. Lindelof as well. What do you think this is going to have a big impact on the way we play? Do you think we'll be able to replicate what we did against Spurs and Chelsea with a Maguire or a Lindelof in the team? Because I felt yesterday when Varane went off, we dropped 10 metres straight away and Chelsea sort of came back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I noticed it as well straight away. As soon as Lindelof came on, you know, and the thing is he's not even played when he has had the chance. He's not played that bad, but there is just levels between, you know, the 2 players. It's completely different. And you just don't have the same kind of reassurance. I think the one positive thing is that whoever plays out of Maguire and Lindelof, that, you know, you have Martinez beside him. It's not Harry Maguire and Lindelof. You do have Martinez, who has proved everyone that wasn't a Manchester United fan wrong, right? He's been arguably our player of the season, probably I'd say signing of the season, 100%. He's been outstanding, and I just do worry a little bit because, as you say, if Maguire comes in or Lindelof, naturally it kind of affects everyone around them because the fullbacks, as you say, won't be able to push on as much because they'll want that little bit extra cover. Does it then affect how the midfield play because they're not going to be able to, you know, move up the pitch that little bit more? It'll be interesting to see, but I just don't think, obviously, when we play Sheriff during the week, I don't think it will be a true reflection of kind of, you know, a Premier League game. We'll very much see the difference in levels in that sense at the weekend when we do play West Ham. And again, look, West Ham haven't had the best starts of the season, but it'll still be a tough game. Every game, you know, is going to be very tough. But yeah, for me, you'll notice straight away. For me, it was like we were playing with 10 men for a period when Lindelof came on. It changed just literally as soon as he came on. It was just like that. It just flipped. Yeah,
it is interesting, and it's not even a criticism. I think what Charlie said there is spot on about levels. You know, if you've got if Martinez was out injured and Varane was fit, it's the same thing. You're going from Varane and Martinez, who complement each other well, to what I believe is a drop off. What are your thoughts on that, Ricky? And who would you prefer to see playing next to Martinez, Maguire, or Lindelof?
I don't agree with anything Charlie's just said. I thought we played perfectly fine when Lindelof came up. I thought we played really well at Everton with Lindelof playing, and the game changed for me on the 35th minute. They were there, and how long was left when Varane went off? Was it? Did he go
25,
off?
half an hour?
Yeah, 25.
We only we probably played about 20 minutes after they took what's he called, the left-sided centre-back that they had that used to play for Brighton. I've forgotten his name.
Cucurella.
They took Cucurella off because we were dominating the midfield. And I think the game changed at that point. And I was at the game, and we were dominating up to that point. And I haven't had a chance to watch it on screen yet, but I will do tonight. And I think the game changed on the 35th minute, not later on when Lindelof came on.
What you will see, Ricky, sorry to interject, what you will see, and I agree with Charlie, and I said it this morning, what you will see is the team drops 10 metres. And it does, because that will naturally happen, because Varane is quick. Varane is quick.
It might be the case. But it's also possibly because they're pushing us back. I mean, I'll have a look at the screen and I'll watch the last 10. I can do that. I'll just skip right through it. Tonight, I will watch the 20 minutes when they've got the extra midfield player and before Lindelof comes on. I'll watch it later. But I get the feeling, I got the feeling at the game, because I was worried. I was sat there watching the game, we're dominating the game, and suddenly it switched. You know, and when you're defending, you have to drop back. Obviously, you've got to drop back. I mean, they were getting corners and free kicks. You've got to drop back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I just comment on that one there? What Ricky said there, it did change. I picked up on this, and I don't think many would have seen it if you were watching it on TV. But this is where I think De Gea is a problem in all of this, because he can't play the sweeper keeper. And that problem is rectified straight away if your keeper is willing to come out of your box and cover up. But what happened in that game, and no one's seen it, was Ricky's right. The game changed when Potter made the change. He brought Kovacic on because we were dominating the midfield, and Cucurella was getting the runaround anyway, to be honest. He was struggling. But what happened then, I think it wasn't too long after that, Chelsea found themselves in a position where they were higher because they had the extra midfielder in the middle. And they pressed, and there was a mistake again. It came from a De Gea pass. It was very similar to the one he played to Fred against Newcastle. It went out again to the left, and Casemiro took charge of the whole situation. And I have to give credit to Casemiro on this, and he's going to be key to any of them defenders missing, because he literally made the hand signal to David De Gea. He put his hand up. He went 5 minutes long. Take that initial change from Potter out of the equation and go long and bypass this press, take the sting out of everything, and we'll pick up the second balls. Casemiro was completely onto it, and he does so much unsung work.
It's such a dead ball, though, isn't it? You know, I do agree with you, but this is where you need Ronaldo, because if you're going to hit those long balls, Rashford, you may as well just give it to Chelsea's centre-backs. Thiago Silva, I saw 4 or 5 of those long balls, and I was like, you're probably right why we did it. But Thiago Silva, it was just like he was jumping on his shoulders. It's, you know, Rashford's useless.
On that, mate, it's literally that. That's why I said pick up the seconds, because Rashford, he's starting to win a few more balls in the air. I've noticed that, actually. But Rashford doesn't jump to win a ball. Rashford jumps to put a player off. There's no commitment in the air from Marcus Rashford ever that I've seen. But we were picking up a lot more of the second balls, and it did stem the flow a little bit. It was basics, and it's not pretty. It's not, but sometimes you have to be aware of a certain change in a game and a flow of a game, and try and take the sting out of it another way, because that's the problem we're going to have, because we literally passed the ball out, and I've never seen us pass the ball out as well when Varane and Martinez are there. That for me is going to be the biggest problem. Controlling the game and having the possession we've had recently and having the confidence to spray it around like we did. It's if Lindelof and Maguire can come in and be confident, because Ten Hag isn't going to change his style. He's going to make these players play a certain way. It's going to be
I think he will. I think if you look at Southampton away, Leicester away, we played pretty much 50-50 possession and quite counter-attack. And if you look at Chelsea, first 35 minutes, Spurs, we were like 60-70% possession, high line, really pressing them and sort of saying, if you want to hit a long ball, Varane's rapid and Martinez ain't slow and we'll get it. Whereas you play a high line with Lindelof and Maguire, and Deleu's gone forward, and you go knock it into the channel behind Deleu, Maguire's screwed. So I think we'll have to compensate with that. And the same with Lindelof. And I think I did notice that in the second half when Varane went off. It's a mental thing. I think the players were like, it's no disrespect to Lindelof, but it's like, right, we've lost that pace at the back. We can't just go forward willy-nilly now. We've got to be a little bit more defensive-minded. I thought it was a very interesting game. I do agree with Ricky. I said it on my match reaction yesterday. Potter got a lot of stick for making that 35-minute substitution. I actually applauded it on the watch along. I said, that's a proper manager. He's not going to wait 10 minutes till half time because he might be 1-0 down. He's doing it right now because he knows the problem. And ultimately, they didn't lose that game. But bringing it back on track, Charlie, what would you... I want to ask all three of you this. Who would you go for next to Martinez and why? It's going to be Lindelof or Maguire. Who would you go for and why? And who do you think Ten Hag will go for? So 2 answers from all of you.
So I'd go for Lindelof just because I think, well, obviously Maguire hasn't played in a while. Lindelof, again, as much as as I say, there's levels between him and Varane. I do think he has played okay when he has been given the chance. But I just think that he'll go to Maguire because of the aerial threat, the aerial duels that Harry Maguire is good at winning. He's just unfortunately got the turning circle of a 4x4 and he just can't, he just isn't quick, is he? So it's unfortunate for him. But yeah, I'd go for Lindelof, but I think he'll go for Maguire.
It's interesting as well, just before I asked Ricky, I said this morning, I think Maguire brings a problem because he will lead the team out. He's going to be the captain as well. And I think him coming into the team, if he chooses him, is fine. But bringing a captain into the team that's suddenly going to be going into a team that he's got nothing to do with winning all these games and then being the big, I'm the leader, I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Ricky, who would you go for and who do you think the manager will go for?
I'd go for Lindelof. His distribution, and yesterday I thought his distribution was excellent. We really knocks it around well at the back, and he plays little short, a little bit like Martinez, except he's right-footed and Martinez is left-footed. He plays lovely, cute passes into the midfield players. And I think we play really good football. I thought we played some good football yesterday, even though we were on the back foot for large parts of the second half. And I think the manager will see that. I thought, obviously, he came on in the derby. I know we got hammered in the derby, but I don't think he had a bad game in the derby. Then he played at Goodison. I thought he played well. Ammonia and Nicosia at Old Trafford. I know it's Ammonia and Nicosia, but he's had a few games, Lindelof. And then yesterday, he's come on. It's a tough game, Chelsea away, and I think he did well yesterday. And I think the manager... I'd go for Lindelof, and I think the manager will go for Lindelof.
It's interesting. I'll get your thoughts, Adam. I mean, I just want to add there, Everton, I felt, was our best performance under Ten Hag until the Spurs one, and that was Lindelof and Martinez, and we did have, again, high possession. So I do think, Adam, though, he'll go with Maguire. I mean, I know Ten Hag's made some very good decisions, but I just think the Maguire thing might just be club captain getting back in the team.
Yeah, interesting you say about Everton as well there. That was De Gea's best performance of the season as well. And all he did was play a sweeper keeper and make one save. That's all I want him to do. If he does that, it changes things completely. Gives confidence to the centre-backs. But going back to who does he pick at centre-back, and completely with you, I was talking about this today. It's the captaincy that I'm worried about more. It really is. If he gives it straight to Maguire and Maguire walks into that, and every game Maguire started, we've lost this season. Every one of our wins has been with Bruno Fernandes as captain, and there is a real battling mentality with this team at the moment. There's a togetherness, and it just worries me. I know everyone will come out and say it's not a problem. Everyone's professional, but deep down that these players are playing. With Bruno Fernandes as captain, we're playing better with Fernandes. We're harder to beat with Fernandes as captain. There's that core, but it's going to be interesting to see how Harry Maguire reacts to this longest layoff he's had in his career at club level. Are we going to be talking about Maguire like we was just then with Jadon Sancho and Luke Shaw? Are we going to get the same reaction? Are we going to get a Maguire come back with a bit between his teeth? Ten Hag has backed him before. I'm sort of going down the route of like what Charlie said. I think he'll bring him in. Personally, I think Lindelof has done enough to keep his place in the team. Let's be honest, we haven't lost when Lindelof has been defending. He came on in the derby and that wasn't his fault. It was game over by the time he come on. But the games he started after that, we haven't lost. We didn't lose yesterday when he was on. He was more than adequate, I thought. I do know his limitations. He isn't as good as Varane. There's not many that are, let's be honest. But for me, Lindelof, Ten Hag, I fear it's going to be Maguire.
It is interesting to get all your thoughts there. I was reading the chat as well, because when you think about Ten Hag and what he's done, and when you think about the success that Manchester United have had, it's basically been built on, if you play well, you keep your spot. We started off with Maguire and Martinez and Shaw, and they played badly, and Malacia and Varane came in and they took the shirts. Malacia played bad, Shaw got the shirt, he's played well, he's kept the shirt. If we're going by that logic, then Lindelof's not put a foot wrong, and he should start with Martinez. And I think that's the right thing to do. And this is a really interesting point from the Splash Net. He says the true captains are Casemiro and Martinez. Look, I'm not Bruno's biggest fan. I thought he played well against Spurs. I thought he was reasonably okay yesterday. First half good, second half fell away a bit, but he was put out to the left. But captaincy is something a bit different. That team, to me, has moved away from Solskjaer's British core to what is very, very clearly almost a South American core, where you've got Casemiro, Martinez, Bruno and Dalot. I know they're Portuguese, but there are connections with those South American countries. I think it's Brazil with Portugal, isn't it? Or Argentina. Yes. I can't remember which way it is. I agree with you, Adam. I think that you know, whether he goes to Maguire or Lindelof is one thing, but the captaincy should stay with Bruno, and it won't get discussed because we live in England and the English press are very bloody British focused. But I don't get how you can bring somebody in who's not been part of this. And I want Maguire to come in and play brilliant. You know, I really do. But I don't see how he comes into that team and leads it out and tells it what to do when it's been massively successful without him. If I was Bruno Fernandes, I'd be knocking on the door and saying, look, I want Maguire to do well, but you know, you're asking him to tell David De Gea, Martinez, Casemiro, me, Eriksen what to do. We've done it all without him. And if I was Maguire, I'd be saying, you can have the captain's armband because I need to focus on me. But we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah. It's like literally right now the fan base is connected back with the players again. There's a real connection. There's a connection with the manager. It's working really, really well. Harry Maguire will just put out so many fires if he comes into this team and doesn't take that captain's armband. That would go a million miles with a lot of the fans. There would be an acceptance, like you said there, like, yeah, I can see that this is working with Bruno, that core, that I've said this before, the skullduggery, the dark arts that the Portuguese and the South Americans have. It's like I never say die attitude, and it works really well. And they're backing each other up with it, and it's infectious within the team. It really is. If Harry Maguire comes back into this team, and I want Harry Maguire to do well, I still think there's a defender in there in Harry Maguire. There was qualities of why we bought him. It wasn't the right price, obviously. But if he came in and said, no, Bruno Fernandes deserves his captain's armband, the team's performing the best it has over the last couple of years under Bruno, that would go a million miles with a lot of fans and would put out a lot of fires instantly. And you know what? It may benefit Harry Maguire as well. It really would. I mean, Luke Shaw's had to swallow his pride, go away, come back, practically losing his spot in the England squad because Malacia had taken his spot at United. He's gone away. He's got himself sharp. And look at him now. He's back to that. And for me right now, he's over Chilwell for England, simply because his attitude has changed and he's come in. He wasn't playing great. He's come back and now we've got the Luke Shaw of old again. He's playing brilliant football. Maguire can take a leaf out of Luke Shaw's book and just come back and work hard, in my opinion. If he comes back expecting that captaincy, then I think it will cause more problems, honestly, within the squad. He'll go a long way and he'll get a lot of respect if he gives up that captain's armband and says, you know what, it's working better this way. I'll go with this. I'll come in. I'll do my bit. And if needed, I'll be there to take the captaincy if Bruno can't or he's injured or anything like that. That's the mentality of what I see within the squad. Will it happen? I'd sway towards no. But I think that would go a long way with a lot of United fans right now. And I think it would with the squad as well. Because like we said, we have a massive, massive South American Portuguese contingent now. And that is the basis of everything that is really, really good on this team at the moment. So for me, if he did that, then we're really moving forward. But I can't see it. I'd love it, but I can't.
I'm just looking at the league table there, Charlie. Manchester United down in 6th.
Okay. Down in 6th, Charlie.
Down in 6th. Newcastle up to 4th.
Yeah.
I think we've got some. I saw one of the comments actually there saying that He's back. I saw one of the comments saying that other than Arsenal and City, that no one else is to fear, and I actually agree with it. To be fair, I don't think Arsenal are to fear. Obviously, we beat them, so I think there's every game's definitely winnable.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I don't know whether
Vicky
you caught
touched
me.
on the top 4 goals, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, mate. No, I was just saying, Vicky talked about the amount of goals we've scored against the so-called Big Six. I mean, we picked up 10 points. I think if you offered 10 points to any of the top 6 teams for that, they'd snatch your hand off. So we've got the worst games out of the way, haven't we?
I think it's interesting when you look at the league table, because Newcastle and Spurs have played a game more than us and Chelsea, and we're on 20 points. Yeah, go to you, Ricky, on this. What are your thoughts on United and top 4? A lot of fans now, they've seen the last 2 games. They're saying, yeah, we've got to go and get top 4. I still look at it and go, well, Chelsea are going to spend in January. Newcastle are the richest club in the world. They're in the top 4, probably ahead of schedule. I mean, Tottenham probably look like they'll fall away. Liverpool could get back in the equation, and Arsenal and Man City look very comfortable. It's not even, we've just spoken there about Varane being injured, the forward positions. I think we've had a glimpse of what United can do, but we're still very shallow, I think, in certain areas where I still think we're going to have that sort of a yo-yo season. The next 3 games are key. I think we need to win all 3.
Yeah, we definitely need to win these 3 games. It's going to be tough. It really is going to be tough. I don't think Newcastle are going to go away. I really don't. The camaraderie that they've got.
No European football.
Yeah, no European football. They've only lost. The only game they've lost was a 98th minute winner at Anfield. They've counted themselves very.
City beat them as well.
No,
City drew. City drew. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
they count themselves very, very unlucky, Newcastle, not to be unbeaten still.
It's unbelievable as well, because their squad's not that good yet.
No, they've been spending very intelligently, I think. I mean, not many United fans would have fancied Dan Burn. He's an absolute key member of the team. Whether if you play him at centre back or you play him at left back, he's always in the team. Not many people would fancy a 6'6" left back. Obviously, Trippier, they got him cheap. I don't know how much to give for the Guimaraes. How do you pronounce his name? Guimaraes, the centre.
Bruno Guimaraes, yeah.
Yeah, he's a quality player, but I think he was a big signing, wasn't he? But in general, they've just been signing cleverly. I think working
very good
well.
Recruitment.
And I don't think they're going to go away. I'm not saying they're definitely going to do it, but I wouldn't be surprised one bit if they're in the top 4. You've got City, Arsenal are 2 points above City at the minute. Arsenal have got a great chance. It's not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy, even though I'm dead chuffed with how we're going, and I can see us taking great strides. I think the manager's getting some of the players doing better things. You mentioned Bruno as skipper at the minute. He's playing a lot better than I ever thought he could play. He's really keeping his game more simple.
I was going to ask you about Bruno, so we'll do it now. So you've been impressed with Bruno, yeah?
People think I'm nitpicky. Let me explain this. I'm not nitpicky because it's okay. It's okay for a manager to say, and all managers do it. There's room for improvement. So it's okay for me to say it. And there's still room for improvement. There's still the odd shot where he shouldn't be shooting, and there's still the odd pass where he should keep it a bit shorter. But he's definitely a big improvement, and I'm dead pleased with him at the minute. Still a bit of room for improvement now. So the manager's working with the players. You can see what he's bringing, how he's working. I thought Rashford had a good game. I don't rate him at centre forward. I thought he played well against Spurs, but it just completely drop off again at the weekend. So I do think that we will keep improving, but I'm still not confident we'll do it. It's going to be that hard. Obviously, Liverpool could easily string together 5 or 6 wins in a row. It is good. There's going to be 6 teams for maybe. I think Spurs look like they're wavering, but of course they're capable of turning around. If you
look like it is, mate, they are.
It is wavering, isn't it? Yeah. But if you count Spurs, because I'm sure Liverpool will come strong. I'm sure he will. Obviously City are going to get 1 spot. Obviously, they're getting 1 spot. Despite where they are at the minute, I wouldn't even say Arsenal are definite. There's Arsenal, there's Chelsea, there's us, there's Newcastle, Liverpool. There's 5 teams there for 3 spots, without counting Spurs. Obviously, at any moment, they could turn it round. There could be 6 teams battling for 3 spots, so it's going to be tough.
I agree. I mean, we'll go to you, Charlie, and then we'll go Adam on this. I agree. I think that I've always said we won't get top 4, and I'm still going to say it. And the reason I'm going to say it is because I saw on Wednesday night what Ten Hag can do. I knew what he could do at Ajax, and I think on Wednesday night was the first game, Everton away a bit as well, where I went, I know how he wants to play. Can he get our players to do it? And I've seen he can. The problem is, Delo's played 4 90-minute games in 9 days. Rashford's playing up front. If Casemiro gets injured, we're back to McTominay or Fred. Varane gets injured, we're talking about Lindelof or Maguire. Sancho's playing, we haven't really got a left winger. I look at United and I go, he can't get that team out every game, let alone get it to play like that. And then I look at Arsenal and I go, they could fall off. City aren't going to fall off. Chelsea, Potter's not even had a transfer window yet because that was Tuchel's transfer window in the summer. So they're spending in January. Newcastle are the richest club in the world. And I agree with Ricky, Liverpool will come back. So, I mean, I'm more than happy to throw Spurs out the window. But like Ricky said, they could come back. I just think we've got a football club that's run by the Glazers who've already said, yeah, we're not going to have a summer like that again. And we don't anticipate spending till next summer, even when we do. And you go, well, straight away, January is going to hit. And we're going to sit there. I really think that's going to be Ten Hag's problem.
With that, Mark, can I just say something very quickly? We're that desperate up front. We're desperate. We've got to sign a striker, even if he's somebody who we all know in the Premier League for 10 or 15 million quid. I know everybody's going to want a 60, 70, 80 million pound player. We just literally haven't got a centre forward. We've got to buy one. Sorry.
Yeah. Would that be Welbeck, Rick? Would that be Welbeck?
I'd be quite happy with that, but we have got to sign one. Whoever it is, we've got to sign.
Don't even get started, Charlie. Stop it right now.
Give us Welbeck's at least 50 million, though. We won't get him for 15.
No, I mean, yeah, and this is the thing. There's obviously the Gakpo situation when realistically he should already be playing for us, right? It's just a lack of kind of, don't even know the word, but the fact we went and overspent however much on Anthony, which then hindered obviously getting Gakpo. But yeah, there's a handful of positions which still need, strength and depth. Striker is a huge one for me. And it's strange, isn't it? Because you think, I mean, when they're all fit, you think if you have Ronaldo starting, Martial starting, whichever way you put them, and then you have Rashford as your maybe third option, and it seems pretty good. But when Ten Hag isn't favouring Ronaldo and putting Rashford over him, and Martial's not fit, and then it kind of hinders everyone else's games. It seems at the minute when Ronaldo's playing or that situation. There's just so many positions, as I say, and it's daunting because you've said there so many teams have got power and got money to go and spend, and we just we're fighting an uphill battle as it is. So when Chelsea, Newcastle go and spend, even if it's 50, 100 million, that's more money than we're going to spend, right? So we're just going to get more and more kind of left behind, and that's, look, I honestly think if we do get top 4 this season, I think that is that's an outstanding achievement for me.
I 100% agree. And I would almost say, Adam, that I was a bit frustrated after the game last night and Spurs, because I was like, I can see what Ten Hag can do, but I can't see a squad that can deliver over 38 games. I think there's too many variables that will, the Varane one jumps out straight away, but there will be others where you just go, we're struggling to put a team out, and he can't. I think the problem United have got is we've got 9 players who can play the way Ten Hag wants to play. And then we've got 14 players who can't. And the problems will come when he has to play players who can't play the way he wants to play.
Yeah, because there's certain players that are at a certain age, you're just not going to be able to turn them around. So I think the biggest game that we've got coming up over before the World Cup is actually the League Cup game against Aston Villa, because we know what Ten Hag's like. If he sees an impressive performance, then he gives that player a chance. It'll be very interesting to see if any of the younger players like Garnacho, maybe Kobe Mainu, any of the young under-21 players that are really doing it, and Iqbal, someone like that has a good game against Aston Villa. If he does give them a chance, then you could see Ten Hag put that into action, because as soon as he sees him play for the first team and he play well, we know what he's like. And Ten Hag, I mean, on the tour, when we was on the tour, he made a point of nailing it in, drilling it into the younger players. And I think that's where he wants to work, and that's the players he wants to improve. Everyone else, I think he's just going to bring in. And that's like you said, it's worry. I don't think we've got them 14 players that you mentioned. I don't think there's many of them that can be turned around. You can't make McTominay be Casemiro. You can't make Fred be Christian Eriksen. They're just different players. And
Donny's the rescue. Donny to the rescue.
14 games in. Yeah, he's only 14 games in to his Manchester United tenure as manager. So there's a lot more to come. We know it's going to be a long process. I think because we've seen good signs, I think we've all got a bit carried away with what can possibly happen this season. I still think with the fall off of a couple of other teams, it's opened it up a little bit more though, because I see second, third, and fourth up for grabs. City have won the league, but them other three places are up for grabs. And if Newcastle can do it, United can do it. It just depends who stays fit. Because I agree, I don't think we'll spend money in January. Martial would be massive for Manchester United, and him not going to the World Cup with France could be the biggest thing that's happened to us this season. If he gets a full recovery of 6 weeks and then comes back at the end of December going into January when the fixtures are piling up and we've looked after him properly finally and sorted out these injury issues, then that could be key for us as well. Let's not forget about that, because I can't see Deschamps taking Martial if he's injury prone. And that time off, we talked about Haaland and Salah having time off, and how it may benefit Liverpool and City, respectively. But Martial having that time off and full recovery, and Ten Hag working with him constantly while everyone's at the World Cup, that could be massive for United going into the busy spell in January. So, yeah, I think that Villa game with the young players, if someone comes through, and Iqbal, Garnacho, there's a bit of extra squad strength, because I think them two especially have got something special, especially Garnacho. I still can't believe he's not been given a chance yet, because he's got that hunger and that desire in him. Funnily enough, another Argentinian, there you go again. But I think that may come in when we come to the end of the World Cup, start of January, when the FA Cup, the League Cup. I think some of them players might take their chance, and Ten Hag may utilise them in the league as well.
You know what'll happen though? Martial will have a few weeks break. He'll score a few goals in the first couple of weeks back. The club will say he's like a new signing. You've got Donny and Wan-Bissaka. They're like new signings. Varane will be back like new signings. We won't buy anyone. And then the first week of February, Varane, Martial, Wan-Bissaka and Donny will all get injured and we'll be back where we are now. But I think Adam makes a good point.
Donny as well.
Yeah.
I forgot about
Donny could be key if he could get fit. He would have had loads of games.
What's the latest about Donny? What's the latest? Is he training now, or
meant to be back in training? But I haven't seen any pictures.
No, he's not back in training yet. I don't know how far away he is, but yeah, he's being very hush hush on Donny van de Beek at the moment. It's weird.
No, he's not been fit all season, has he? But no, I think Adam makes a good point there that it is frustrating. We've almost got to temper our patience, because last season was the worst Premier League season we've ever seen for United. And now suddenly the top four, we know we can get top four if we had the squad to do it. And we've seen that in the last 2 days, because Spurs and Chelsea are top four clubs and we can beat them. The problem is, I just don't think we've got the squad ready yet. And like Charlie said, if we did get top four this year, it would be a very big achievement to go from where we were to where we are. I just think it's very evident to me, if you give Ten Hag the resources, then he will deliver. And if people think 200 million quid is enough, it's not. Any manager needs about 600 million spent on that team, and the club needs to keep putting the money in. That's what I think anyway. Anyway, look, we've pretty much completed the show. I want to go and watch the start of the F1, so we will stop it there. But it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Ricky. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did, mate. Thank you.
Enjoyed
it. Good. I'm going to watch. Got it on now. I'm going to watch Roma and Napoli. Chris Smalling's having a blinder so far.
Take him to the World Cup.
I'd take him to the World Cup every day of the week.
Oh, I tell you what, mate. I wouldn't have sold him. If Varane was injured and we still had Chris Smalling, I'd be quite relaxed. I've got to be honest. Thanks for coming on, Charlie.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Always good to talk about Man United, especially when it seems to be going all right at the minute. Fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, and the games keep coming up thick and fast, don't they? As well, we've still got 6 to go. Is it 6 to go, Adam, before the World Cup? Now must be. Yeah, we've got. Yeah, that Sociedad game's massive.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, the thing you got now, you got to win Sheriff and you got to win Sociedad, because that avoids the Champions League teams and an extra 2 games in February when we're already jam packed with fixtures and more injuries, like you said then. But yeah, 3 more Premier League games. We have to win all of them. I agree with that. I would have kept Eric Bailly as well, by the way. I just think he would have had that bit of pace then to help out as cover. But c'est la vie. ifs and buts.
Thanks everyone for watching at home. Someone said, what's the latest with Varane? Apparently it's 3 or 4 weeks, which means he won't play for United again, but he could go to the World Cup. Don't know what my thoughts are on that. For the lad, obviously I want him to go to the World Cup. For United, it's a bit like the Martial thing, isn't it? It benefits us. But yeah, let's be honest. I hope he goes to the World Cup because, he's a good player. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. We'll speak to you in a bit.